Well, Eagle will be banned out off rip. Always a very solid consideration when it comes into a map like Oregon, and that'll be where Wolves will start defense. Oxygen will be the obvious team on offense. Yana will be banned out once again here. Saw her banned out on the previous map, and it really did do some damage to Mowgli's playstyle. Really slowing him down on the offensive side. Just wasn't nearly as sharp as we usually see him, so we'll see if it affects him as much when it comes to Oregon. Valkyrie also going to be removed as well, and what is our last ban that'll slip through here? It's going to be Wolves, and it'll be Kaid off the board to make sure that these hatches stay wide open when it comes to the basement play.
So with the bans in, it's time to enter round number 1 here and see what exactly the Wolves have to show us here for their defensive side. The basement will be the initial site that they'll play into. No real big surprises in terms of the operator picks they're going to end up on as well here. And give us a moment.
Yeah, I was going to say I saw the timer get paused. So I think
we got audio bug. I think if I saw Newers calling that out correctly. So
hey, we're not supposed to talk. Stop. We're not supposed to talk. Don't joke about it.
Oh, okay. Yo, new.
So give us just a moment here, folks.
I didn't know you're not supposed to talk.
Oh wait, hold on, scissors.
Oh, it was a
one fox. No, go back. What happened? Who turned the TV off? Thank you. Oh my God.
Now we don't even know what's going on.
Okay, it's 1-1, I think. Oh.
You went early.
I'm gonna put these right here just in case.
This is what we're here for.
Okay, we're
Oh,
good.
2-2. Newers winning in the server and out.
Newers winning the important battle here. There we go. So I think,
can bring flashes.
if I saw it correctly, I think Dream just like spilled his drink or something. So that's why we had to pause. But we're all good now. Let's get ourselves back into it as round 1 begins. And we head into Oxygen's attack and Wolves' defense. A few repicks going to be shown up for Oxygen from the looks of things, mainly to bring this to Capital in for Newers. Away from that, though, going to keep the lineup exactly as they had pre-picked it.
Well, Capital does have the ability to bring secondary hard breach, so could see that in here. Could see some EMPs out of Sweater as well. Definitely going to be big assist there for Dream when it comes to the hard breach game. Tactical crossbow, though, might not be the greatest addition to Oxygen's game here, as Wolves does have the wide discs, but should have enough burn to be able to deal with that. Yes, indeed. No EMPs for Sweater. We're going to have 9 stuns. We're all the way back to the utility meta now. So Oxygen should have no problem trying to deal with all of these built-up positions for Wolves, especially things like Elbow and some of these other additions around. The only issue past that is really going to be Mowgli, as he will be on the Warden. And Warden heavily working his way into a lot of play here at the 6th Invitational.
Newers and the rest of Oxygen move forward here. And are going to be trying to put themselves down into the basement in a moment. P4, the rest of the squad sitting on the other end of it. They will put themselves in the way, of course, with their own aggressive swings. We can see the play coming in from Mowgli here. Still winded up, over towards the top of the back stairs, ready to deploy out, but at the same time, has some counteraction to that on the other end of the wall. As we can see, Newers potentially positioned to try and push that player back down over the next few moments here, but all gonna have to come to blows eventually, just a matter of Oxygen pulling the pin on that grenade once they are ready to move in.
Look at this hard breach dealt with. Get some angles open and meeting exposed. Wolves haven't had anybody at their doorstep just yet, and it may be a minute here as Oxygen still has some time to go. Also, Dream actually ended up only being the main hard breach here, as Newers did not adopt the secondary hard breach. Got the Claymores on. Might have forgot about that as well, as none of them have been used, but it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. More than likely just playing this for the tactical crossbow to try and break up some mirror windows and other things abound. But again, the Warden playing back into that. So some worrisome moments. Could be a troublesome tide coming the way of Oxygen. Warden actually having quite a bit of play this tournament. 4th most played op when it comes down to it. 40% pick ban rate. Zami, Valkyrie, and Solus, the only 3 ops above him. Stuns in now for Oxygen, looking like execution time, burning out the back stairs. They're trying to force things down onto this pillar position. Rise, though, he's going to be the big problem inside of Boiler. Stuns out, big play here for B-Boos. Will shut down the first one in through E-Box, but not the second. Big plays for Dream. He's found his space. He's not just a plant bot, folks. He can get some kills. Triple for Dream, and it surely is alive for Oxygen.
Rise and P4 are all that remains on the defensive side now. Rise trying to weigh out his aggressive position from the inside of construction in order to bring this back under the team's control, and it will work too. Doesn't even need to aggressively swing it. P4 claims the last one off camera, and the Wolves hold strong. They claim round number 1 here on their defense.
So much positive play from Dream there, but it's squandered. The rest of Oxygen can't back it up. No bite to this, no crunch. Able to get at least the initial kills, but you see, that was a perfect little snapshot there. Every single gunfight behind Dream going the way of the Wolves. He's practically enveloped by their setup. Off on an island now. No real way for his teammates to try and get there. Really unfortunate. His sweater did seemingly have some form of position on the sledge on the back end. Try and get some kind of assistance, but most definitely did not work out. The Wolves now, after that successful round, will move their way upstairs. So going to keep the Jaeger in the lineup, but changing up a couple of other things. Solus and Azami both build their way into this. Azami especially going to be useful on this top floor.
Oxygen with the Amaru swing to potentially use on this round. Dream will deploy towards that. Mowgli just trying to proposition himself over here next to Cafeteria in hopes of grabbing an early drone swing in there, but obviously not going to be able to find it as easily as he would have liked. Time continues to tick down here, though, with Oxygen now being spawned out, and Seniors trying to make the first play here just by baiting out some of the aggression from the inside of Yellow Hallway. Quite the stack here as well. The players on Wolves, you have like 2 to 3 players with presence in this part of the map. Mowgli going for the outright scan. Be able to spot out that drone, but meanwhile, Vertical having the yellow ping against P4. Strikes true, takes down one of the members of the Wolves, and now starts to block out the rest of this downstairs room from having any effective play at all. The other player that was assisting this previously already rotated back, so full map control of the first floor already gained for Oxygen.
What a beautiful build-up for that. Oxygen able to successfully suss out a Wolves player, and I think it was from a pre-place drone as well. Had that before the Wolves player. He was even able to rotate in. Unlucky for P4. But the Wolves now have to try and get this position figured out. They're down a man. Oxygen able to at least get that dealt with. Now the big plays come. Have to try and get the Selmas down, break up some more of that walling. He's actually going to work it out as well. Make a nice little angle for himself. Playing back and forth up against Mowgli on the rappel. Newers found himself a position on white here too. Both of these really successful. If Oxygen can get this dealt with, it makes it to where playing inside of games on the position that Mowgli is really difficult. Can't really cross out of things. Have to try and go back maybe over towards Attic or something like that. Always going to be a big deal there. So Oxygen actually building this up over towards a big window take. Still some other things in the cards for Wolves.
Foxy gonna accidentally pick off Dream somehow. He said off camera, so we're not gonna judge that too harshly as we didn't really see it happen. Just sometimes these things happen in Siege. As a bit of a claustrophobic push from time to time, we'll just awkwardly put one player in front of another. One thing leads to another, and there you go. Team kills, they tend to happen every once in a while here. We'll see if Oxygen are still in position to make up for things. Rise, expecting a counterplay to come in from the bedroom. Fortunately loses his life as he doesn't expect the double peek from Arsenal. Oxygen trade things back down into even numbers. 2v2 is where we end up at with 25 seconds remaining. Shinka and Mowgli are the last 2 standing here for the defense. And Newers trying to pick this out with his teammate. Wow, just swings Mowgli dead to rights. Mowgli doesn't even send up a bullet in response to it. And the same can be said for Shinka as he tries to close the gap, get up against the doorway so he can pump out the shotgun, but does not work out here. The rebound is found from Oxygen, and we're tied again at 1-1.
And once again, a masterclass from Newers on perfect aggression. Doesn't overplay his hand. Beautiful read here again from Oxygen. Cannot believe they had that drone set up inside of showers. So unlucky for the Wolves. Felt like they were going to be able to get their player a little bit deeper into the setup for OXG as they tried to clear out a small tower area, but lost way too many bodies. And finally, Oxygen able to get things going for them, with Newers especially over on White Stairs. The push via trophy getting traded out all the way down to basically a dead heat, which Oxygen had to try and solve. Although Foxy did end up killing his teammate, they did end up winning the round, so Dream just a martyr in this case.
Dream just getting about 2 minutes off is all that happened right there, as he's given a little break after his exploits back in round number 1. Decided to let him take a backseat role here in the second round. That's worked out just fine for Oxygen here, as they now claim the 1-1 tie point. Wolves, in the meanwhile, not going to be changing up a whole lot as they move into their third defense here. It's going to be still upstairs inside of the kids' zone. They'll make one more attempt of this probably before they rotate back down into the basement, as they've already locked that one down, but it's going to be unlocked for play moving into round 4. Sweater and the rest of Oxygen continue to take their early map control. Imaro wasting no time on Dream there, just swinging directly into the big tower to take that for himself. Also, will work on popping things open towards Attic to start establishing a flank against the actual defensive hold.
Fastest hard breach in the west. Flings himself in towards Attic. 2 big holes on the side of this hole. Boat still afloat though. But for how long? Oh, did Rise realize? Oh, thankfully they have the Banshees in play on White Stairs. That was very worrisome there for a second. You do not want Newers donning your door that early. Could have spelled demise for Wolves. Big crossfire there on White Stairs. Oxygen, though, they've been able to gather small tower, work their way in cafe side. P4 does at least have the kitchen position, though. Little assistance from the top floor with Shinka. Have that hatch open. Could be quite useful to their future. Biba's got a setup, though. He's got a couple of these Keepa barriers built up inside of Master, mostly trying to hold on to the Master window door. This is going to force Oxygen to try and rotate themselves around, try and get some side pressure onto Bibu's position. He's going to continue to try and reapply, readjust himself here, try and waste out as much time as humanly possible.
Nearly making impact against Newers there as the barricade is slapped open. Newers still going to get hit pretty hard by an impact that's chucked forward, nearly full damage that you can get off of one of those. Mowgli, in the meanwhile, to strike first. Second kill also claimed by the Wolves here as they're taking the fight directly to Oxygen. A flank trying to be worked against them, though. The pinch has minimal success here, as the members of Oxygen are actually able to trade out as a direct result of that attempt from Wolves to get aggressive. They walk themselves into their own deaths to a certain extent, and now bring the round into a much more palatable situation for the attackers.
Well, it's the 2 veterans of North America, Vertical and Foxy, to clutch it up against Bibu, a veteran in his own right in Europe, in Shinka. Decent amount of times for Oxygen to work this, and a lot of drone games still left too. No frag grenades though for Foxy, and that might be a big issue. Stuns though for Vert. He's gonna run himself over towards Armory Stairs. I think he does have one decently close to this position, though. Foxy's going to drop off and try and pressure White. Does have the counter here right inside of games. That's what he's got to worry about. It's going to be Bibu immediately holding the White door. Guns down 1. But, oh, it's going to be the transfer here. Vert has to try and get him, but no, the comm's not working out. Very unfortunate there. Looks like the push just a little bit missed time. Vert getting really deep in towards Attic and just didn't have the angle to try and fight back and support Foxy. Bibu just being able to hide away just in time. Guns down Foxy on the entry. Oxygen finally stunted there on the offense. Wolves will take the lead here, 2-1.
And so basement is going to be the next site up on deck here for our defenders. Wolves will take up the mantle here as they return back over to where they initially found success and once again are able to capture things at the tail end of round 3. Try to see if they can continue to find that forward success, and Oxygen will look to try and make up the difference on the attack here. Still keeping themselves competitive, but falling behind that little bit here as Wolves win 2 out of 3 of their rotations here. Never actually going to a tertiary site as well, so we still have to test the bounds of a potential first floor hold from them. But Vertical in the meanwhile here also going to go for the repick. Just a slight adjustment since they're up against that basement hole. They don't really feel they need the Thatcher for this one, so instead the Twitch is going to get swapped out for Vert.
EDD mounted, don't stand close.
I was scared that P4 was going to add even more to that window. Put 2 on that. See if that ends up being useful for Wolves. Could be some serious damage on one of these Oxygen players if they choose to swing into Big Tower. Majority of them starting on the small tower side, though. Looks like we'll begin to clear from here. Vertical will be onto his regular drone. No Twitch drone just yet. So we'll begin clearing out showers. I have some supporting angles here to be expected. It'll be Newers on the showers window looking to hop in. We'll see what else the Wolves have going on with their setup. Able to add some more EDDs downstairs, and actually all of the Wolves players going to be playing downstairs. Not even a security position being adopted into this. Do have that freezer player though that's starting to push themselves up onto the door, and a potential for a player working their way in from Big Tower.
Nors and the rest of Oxygen now trying to wind themselves up for the descent into the basement here too. Mowgli trying to position himself to still go for an aggressive push from the depths of his kitchen hole there. He's continuing to maintain that position for the Wolves' defense. But Mowgli gonna be scared away when everything's said and done here. Flashed up against him, just a little bit too aggressive, so that knocks him out, takes him down. Locks us into still our 5v5 here, but Oxygen now will be primed for the actual descent to start making things a bit more interesting on this round and get us into the actual execute phase where they're going to start looking for some kills.
I've gotten the position over the top of the site. Big Tower shut down, forcing the Wolves back. Wolves also getting what they want though. Delay this time. All practiced. Both of these teams. All in proper timing. Stuns in now via the E-box hatch. Twitch drone will get soaked up though with some gunshots. Nice shot from Mowgli, speaking of shots. He'll take out Newers, finally getting one back on him. Newers has been so dominant in this matchup. It hasn't even felt like a duel. It just felt like a beatdown. Mowgli's going to try and work his way back out of Boiler. This has definitely slowed down Oxygen's push, and we've seen that when it comes to losing Newers. It slows them up just a little bit. Sent into recoil mode, and now looking to try and get a pickup here. Mowgli, though, slipping in between these angles, making it difficult, making it hard on Oxygen. They have to try and push in here. Somebody's got to go. Vertical, swing, go. Shinka is going to be holding things down in elbow. They're going to push through Nitro cells, but now they're prone. Nobody's swinging anything. Dream's going to get gunned down. The case is down. Oxygen's stunted. No place for this plant. No home. They're going to get swung out from the Wolves, and nobody's going to be able to even try and put the case down. It's like if they lose Newers, nothing happens.
Discombobulated at best there for the Oxygen roster as they just cannot find any positioning to make their attack work, cannot even seem to sync themselves together. It's a messy assault of the basement. A relatively easy third round ultimately for the Wolves, as Oxygen failed to get any sort of footing here, failed to even piece themselves together with these flanks and whatnot being so successful as well. Unfortunate for Oxygen. So it'll take us into a 3-1 lead for the Wolves.
It was as though Oxygen, past the Newers' death, was constantly moving their pieces up to the firing line, but never having the willingness to actually get into the firefight. They would just wait right at that drawn line and see if the Wolves would make a mistake, see if they would push back into them. But the Wolves are on defense in this situation. They're not just going to give up every avenue to the site. Very strange there from the Oxygen lineup. There's no real teeth to that. Really needed to see them try and get forceful. If you're going to lose the round anyways, you might as well try it. Just a little unfortunate there for them. Hopefully this next time around they have a little bit more gall. Try and send it at the Wolves members. Some hard-fought positions. Also, Sweater getting tagged up quite a bit there at that tail end. When we did see him prone on the ground, he had like practically 1 HP, so definitely feel for him in that regard. But still, at the end of the day, you got to get something going on the site. For Oxygen right now, it's back to basics. 2 rounds separate them and Wolves, who have already guaranteed a perfect half here. They end up losing both of these. It'll be right down the middle. They can try and get it figured out on the offensive perspective.
Impact EMP should allow for this wall to be opened up. Forces an immediate reposition of Bibu. He'll rotate himself back and away from that spot. That will open up the first execute avenue and a potential plant avenue as well for the Oxygen roster. Newers and the rest of OXG continue to wait out their time here and try to look for opportunities to clear out Rise's position now. He's placed himself upstairs in kids' dorms. Drones, I believe, have already worked their way through to figure out these positions. Hardbreach has already reached the kitchen side, too. So Oxygen well on their way once again to opening up options for their execute. But as we saw in the last one, that doesn't necessarily guarantee success if they don't have the positioning to be able to swing themselves into it here. So still need to build up the confidence truly needed to get themselves in.
Attackers recovered the diffuser.
Mowgli constantly rebuffing the main wall there for meeting.
And as we see, Shinka trying to move himself forward here. Oh, Newers as well. Finally spotting out the intel from the player deeper on the inside of kids, but now on the losing end of that battle. Can't really justify moving it forward. It's kind of the same issue as last one. There we go, though. Finally getting the movement out from Rise, and Newers, the patience, works out here to shut down the first kill of the round.
Big pickup there. Dream will get shut down from P4 though. The rotation out there from Bibu. Nice kill from Sweater. P4 has the angle via the hatch, but he's going to try and back off of this. Big fight up against Vertical, and Vertical is going to get lit up. But all of these HP pools definitely dwindling for both respective teams. Shinka now adding another counter angle here, but now before Newers can make this round go blue. It's looking Oxygen's way right now. Still need to try and get this plant down, though. This angle might work here for Kitchen. Sweater, though, gonna be able to get the shield down, start this plant out right. Frags in, nice angle adopted from Fox A. He'll shut down Mowgli, and Shinka on a long rotate. That Osa shield going to be so useful in this position to play back into this, but Sweater, he's not even going to be actually on that. Instead, in between a big gap there and the Kitchen counter, losing his life because of it. Shinka now on the rotation, but still so very much to do and minimal time.
Shinka going to try to wrap himself back into a White Stairs retake here, but immediately countered as soon as he even gets close to Yellow Hall. Wraps around again, but still too easy for Newers to read into that one. Much better statement being put down onto the ground here by the Oxygen roster. As such, they'll start to bring things back under their control. A 3-3 certainly in the cards now as we head towards the final round of the half. But at the same time, Wolves wanted to lock in that very same advantage they had on the previous map at 4-2. If they have any say in the matter. Problem is, though, they're going to go back upstairs from the looks of things over towards kids now. The first foothold does not pan out, so they're back over into dorms to repeat this one, where they're only 50-50 so far on their win for this site.
Well, Oxygen bounced back in a pretty convincing way. Newers especially, 8-3, but didn't have to worry about not having him that last round. He was definitely the aggressor when it came down to it, able to get a lot of the entry kills for Oxygen and progress them forward. Seems like the play for Wolves, they can win out a big fight against Newers, could be game-changing, but trying to ISO players, especially from the defensive perspective, really, really difficult. And for Oxygen, they might not play Newers as far out on their defensive setups. Could see him playing something like the Warden, a little bit closer towards site. Just have to see how things go. Oxygen with an opportunity here to tie things up. The Wolves will have some presence down low though, in the likes of P4. Bibu will stretch himself as well over towards the eastern side. He's actually going to sit on the armory stairs, and this could get hostile very quickly.
Beaver going to start to swing himself up towards top arsenal here. Makes the cross, though. Thankfully, I believe the Oxygen player was on cams when he decided to go for it. So around the bend, takes control of that. And for the rest of OXG, still trying to deal some initial utility clear as they send in the Terror Drone. Norris to support behind it. One's going to blow up. Unfortunately, a little awkward on the timing here. They do have it sitting in the way. Oh no, and Mowgli as well with a dirty peek. Says bye-bye to Norris. No room for Foxay to trade that one back out as the window has been blocked away. Would have to get himself a heck of a lot closer to pull that one off. He's going to try to still work it on Repel, but now he's waiting for his other teammates to also pop open things in Attic. Let the team move forward from there. So bit of a slow start to Oxygen, but now Sweater makes up the difference by finding the exchange onto Mowgli.
All right, Oxygen, you've lost Newers. How do we progress from here? The Mowgli pick is a start, but we've seen what Wolves have been able to do with a position like this prior. It's been a lot of their big rounds. Now they have an opportunity to pick up one yet again here. Dream will be the first one to adhere to the call. Oh, a little misplay there. Boo bouncing it off the helmet, and oh, Sweater will gun him down as well. Wolves, they've finally done what Oxygen have wanted. They've given these kills up. The site has been broken down. Only 3 remain, but still a chance here, especially after that. Shinka will take out Fox. Oxygen not willing to push too deeply in towards the site yet. Dream will break up one of those Kiba barriers simply by jumping over top of it. Oxygen looking to try and set up this crossfire. Try and get this plant down. Vertical does still have a logic bomb as well. Still has cam. Gotta try and confirm some positions of these Wolf members.
Attackers have located a bomb.
Dream and the rest of Oxygen prepping themselves together now, trying to move forward here. As they'll open up the attic, rotate so they can play off of each other just a little bit better here. A bit more utility still to be taken down too, so it's continuing to slow things up, but there's really no more time to slow it up. Oxygen down to 20 seconds. They've got to make a bid for it now. Especially at even numbers here. The phone calls out. You've got all the info you could ever want. Here comes the plant attempt as Dream goes for it first. Shinka going to try to work this from down below. The impact's going through, trying to send it out as well, but it's going to be Rise with the big peak that actually stops the plant outright. Sweater's been dropped also. Everything left to Vert. And Vert on the headshot angle cannot contend against Rise. He wins it out. Another one's picked up here by the Wolves roster to end the first half 4-2 in their favor.
Sweater's on Lucy? Okay,
Lucy, yeah. Lucy. We got it 1 round at a time.
Vert and Sweater should play top mid and freezer and just shoot drones. They can.
All right, well, into round 7 we go after the side switch, getting a little inkling of what's going on for our respective teams. Oxygen considering a lot of things there, as well as the Malusi. That'll work its way in for Vertical to try and give them some call signs as to where these Wolves members are moving in. Really be useful as well, especially with Mowgli in the mix on the Nook. If this sticks around, then you always have the potential to not only suss that out, but also slow down the player on the entry. So definitely like the considerations we're seeing here from Oxygen, even past that with the things like Newers and the Jaeger for Boiler.
5 seconds remaining.
So we got Wolves spawned out. Let's see how they fare on the attacking side. Failed to capture things back over on our first map of Chalet. This is where things started to, unfortunately, fall by the wayside, but now we'll see if they can keep their composure for the second map of this series. Already starting to look a lot better when we consider the map coefficients we were talking about at the beginning of this matchup here. Wolves seem to be in much better fighting shape this time around, and why wouldn't they be for this deep of a bracket run? Wanting to give it their all in hopes of continuing to excel in the upper bracket. Oxygen very much looking for the same thing, however. They've got the map point right now. So it's their opportunity to really pick up some steam, especially at the start here of the second half with that defensive hold inside of basement. Lots of delay utility built up for their composition. So Wolves are going to have free reign over most of the map to get started with this round. However, even with that, there's no guarantee that the Wolves will be able to control that amount of map presence and still successfully lean themselves onto the site. They've barely tested the defenses from Oxygen as of yet.
With that explosion, that's a sign of the times. Means that we are progressing through the mid-floor. Trying to apply some pressure towards Freezer and getting the other hatches open, just as some other avenues of access for the Wolves' opposition. Got the buck play in here for P4. I'll be able to break up some of the softer walls around the site here, making some new lines of sight, but not really anything that's going to affect Newer's position all that much. They do have some spare X-Kairos, I'm sure, that they can use from Bibu, but do have the impacts on Fox-A still, and the ability to just shoot those off the wall with the proper positioning, so might not be the best call there for the Wolves. It's going to be the Rotero drones here as the next layer of their offense to start breaking down these positions. Dream will lose his shield here for Elbow. And Oxygen now being peeled back, although quite slowly.
Wolves still moving quite slowly here as they enter the final 40 seconds, not wanting to trip anything up and more importantly wanting to make sure they deal with all this utility properly. Big swing from the defense, but it does not pan out. Newers ends up going down outright to Mowgli. Fox-A to find the first exchange now as they attempt to take construction control. That'll also drop the case. Backstairs play being held up by the Molotov as well. So Wolves starting to stumble here as they enter those final 20 seconds. Shinka gonna look to make things up. He'll go for the res on his now down teammate. Mowgli back up in the fight. Cases come with him. But Mowgli at low HP, the team now not really knowing where to throw their own aggression. Bibu has success getting the back of one player. Mowgli does too. Goodness, we brought him revived back into the game, but still, Fox-A and the rest of Oxygen in more than a willing position to shut that one down in the basement. They strike first and bring it within one round's reach of a tie again.
I was holding freeze for so long.
Fox-A shutting it down there. Able to turn on a dime, take out that last Wolves member. And it was a very slow rolling offense. They were able to get everything necessary to try and open things up, but they weren't really able to try and actually translate it into anything that was potent. Dislodged the shield player, that was obviously Dream, but past that, I mean, nothing really coming to them. A lot of the big moments really just centralized around the pick onto Newers, but the defensive setup now for Oxygen, too strong on the basement. Amazing, amazing stuff there from them, especially through the utility game, able to slow down the Wolves, make it to where that entry point was not nearly as feasible.
10 seconds left.
Wolves in the meanwhile here with repicks to come forward. We are going to see Ash implemented into the lineup as well as a Thatcher. Nook as well from Mowgli and the rest of the Wolves. So we'll see what exactly they try and bring to bear here as they execute themselves onto the map for the second time so far in this half. And against Oxygen's first hold upstairs inside of Kids. Away from that, we do have pretty typical defensive lineup to try and fend off the aggression in here. A lot of the pressure, of course, going to be on Fox-A to probably set things up with those kunais, but we'll be continuing to gain them over the course of the round.
Big nitro cell attempt there from Sweater. Right next door. Big nade now, though, from Mowgli. He'll be able to take out Vertical. Really wish that they were able to trade that out there in Armory. A little unsuccessful. Nice read, though, so far from the Wolves. Finally, somebody able to get something back. It'll be Newers as he'll take down Mowgli on the entry, but that'll be Dream and Vert both gone. Lots of utility being poured in now, and Fox-A will be forced to seal up Master. Making this a little bit more difficult for the Wolves to work through, but they have so much utility at their disposal to try and deal with a situation like this. They have the EMPs from Rise, they have the exothermics of Shinka. They just have to try and get these walls peeled down once again, trying to find a home for this case. Nobody having it right now, more than likely just waiting out on a balcony. A safe spot, just making sure that the Wolves don't lose that to their opponents.
Attackers have located a bomb.
Shinka and the rest of the Wolves here still trying to establish their backflank presence. They'll get the EMP support to be able to pop open attic. Nurs looks like he's going to try to challenge directly against it. Indeed he will. Bit of a Houdini moment for Nurs, though, as he's kind of confused approaching the back attic position. Oh, where'd the hard breacher go? As they've unfortunately hopped out the window, going on the outside catwalk over towards Arsenal instead. So Nurs thought he would have had a play lined up, and to be fair, he nearly did, but just not in the cards this time around. That Thermite's got other things to take care of. Unfortunately, I believe his business is going to be interrupted. The impact in and interrupted. Nicely played by Foxy there, just banking it off the fan down below to make sure that that first Thermite charge on the walk-in gets completely interrupted. Foxy on the other end of the cards here. He's going to be ready for the challenge. Norris as well picks up the first kill from deep inside of Kids there. However, Wolves now turning it back into their own. P4 ends up clutching it out here. Some big turnaround kills coming in from the window. Give the round over to the European roster instead. And a bit of a surprise change-up at the end of the round.
I mean, something had to give. Definitely could have been anybody's round, but Oxygen with a pretty serious chance there. They're going to take a tag timeout. Let's listen to what Redeemer has to say.
We're risking people dying there. Obviously, like, that was a lucky vert, like how you died, but if we're going to be playing aggressive, like, there needs to be utility once we fall back. And then Fox nailed it, right? Like, then we can't be peeking because we're waiting for the collapse, right? So we have to decide what we want to do. But at the end of the day, like, we're complete in control of the game. Like, we're the ones making the mistakes, right? So it does not matter what site we go to. Like, as long as we're waiting for them to execute, we have a way to stop the bomb plan. Like, and there's utility that will also slow them down in sight. Like, I think we're good. Anything extra, like getting picked, and we don't need any of that stuff. We know what they're going to do. They're playing very, very generic. We're playing slow. We got this. Come on.
I think we can go back Kids.
Let's get it.
Go back Kids. I think we bring like the exact same take that we do. I think maybe you just bring like extra denial, like vert. Maybe like I mean, I guess just pocket the Wamais for yourself, or don't even play in there. Like, if we think they're gonna nade, just don't play there. Let New hold the angle from pit.
All right, working our way back into round 9 now after the tag timeout. Oxygen feeling as though just giving a little bit too much over to the Wolves camp. Wolves playing a little generic, just kind of not as light on their feet as some other squads Oxygen has been facing. Feeling as though if they rest on their morals, make sure that they don't try and swing into things, try and use some of this utility game and slow down the Wolves, that they can win it out in some of these low time executes that the Wolves have been going for. And personally, feel as though that would definitely be a big boon for Oxygen. What do you think about that, John?
Yeah, I think it's certainly going to help out the defensive prowess moving into this round. We'll see if the repeat is going to yield any success overall for Oxygen. Is their overall lineup going to be exactly the same? The secondary hard breach hopefully making things a little bit easier for the Wolves this time around, especially with the impact trick nearly tripping them up as they try to establish walk-in control for themselves. Mowgli and the rest of Wolves will take up their initial positions right now just on the balcony outside of the bedroom. The drone zooming forward here. He'll try to get as much intel as possible before committing himself to the inside, and the rest of his teammates as well will be pretty quickly behind him. For Oxygen, though, as we take a look at the rest of their players, just remaining stalwart on the site for the most part. Small extension, of course, down onto the first floor and wasting some time down there, but overall, the Wolves still just trying to make this push work here as the nade goes in.
Reloading.
Takes out the deployable shield. It starts to, once again, open up the wayside for these guys to play together. Nice little zombie barricade comes through, though, and allows for Dream to get this clutch little barricade back in there. Seems they wanted to try and play aggressively in through that angle and establish some presence there, but once more just weren't really able to get the aggressive swings they like to lean in for. So had to back away from that one. Easily a zombie barricade to also get the full metal wall barricade back up there pretty quickly. And as such has created a little bit more of a difficult obstacle for the Wolves to try and work themselves through.
Well, drones out here for Wolves have to attempt to get this master wall open. Everybody adhering to what Redeemer had talked about in that timeout. Not a single pick, not a single point of damage gifted over to Wolves here. Do have somewhat of an aggressive look, pouring out a freezer though. We'll have this drone working in for Rise. Sweater will get discovered. He's going to fall back into security. How willing are they to stick around this, though?
Big run out from Vert. He moves out, grabs the opening kill against P4. No support for P4 out there either. He was on his lonesome. So big mistake made by the Wolves here, as they are grasping at straws for their own aggressive positioning. The late run out seems to really just set the Wolves' attack down the river at this point. Bibu finds one trade back into this one. Shinka heavy damaged against him from a Nitro as well. Things just not looking good for the Wolves here as Oxygen looking to finally put their feet on the ground inside of the second half. And indeed they shall, locking in the upstairs hold for themselves and rebalancing the equation down to only a one-round deficit versus their opponents.
And we'll keeping the bodies up, keeping the utility alive was a big, big gain there for Oxygen, helping them process the later portions of that round. And some big pickups here early as well from Vert. Triple kill for him on the round 2. Able to wrap that one up with a nice little bow. Round 9 in the back pocket. And now he's setting things up for, I do believe, the basement. Indeed. So we headed down there. See what they want to try and bring to light. It's going to be Newers on the ward, and to be expected, they're going to work the Malusi back in as well for the reasons that we were touching on earlier. Just nice to know when somebody is working their way into your setup.
So a few repicks going to show up here for the Wolves. Buck specifically added a little bit of soft breach potential, and Rise as well over on the Zof. Rise will bring that one in. We'll still be keeping the Flores, but Shinka is going to be swapping that one in for himself. And meanwhile, for Oxygen on the other end of things, we're going to see a pretty typical basement hold come out from them, mainly in the form of delay utility between the Malusi smoke, as well as the Goyo being played by Sweater. Canisters have all gone down for Goyo already, so Sweater's allowed to play pretty aggressively here. He's going to lead himself out towards it. P4 will try to challenge him with a front door entry, and we'll just have to wait and see, really, if impact is made.
Well, Wolves haven't been able to get any blood out of this stone just yet. Oxygen giving them a difficult look. We'll have some aggressive players. Do have a player over inside of small tower. Fox 8 might be getting crept up on right now. Predator or prey, Fox. He gets discovered here. Oh, he's gonna slip right through the cracks. Mowgli doesn't even move, like a statue here in the kitchen hallway. Wolves will at least be able to garner mid-floor, start working on these hatches.
Wolves trying to open things up for themselves, and Mowgli, he's first up to bat with regards to trying to take back stairs. However, he's got a pretty mobile challenger in the form of Newers here, trying to work himself back towards it. See a Rotero drone force him back out of it, but no real momentum to swing into it just yet for the Wolves here. Oxygen still very much controlling the pace of things. As we still have half the round to go for the Wolves, we still have quite a bit that could change up here for their attack to potentially boost it. As just now, we're going to start to see some of that delay utility start to be burnt out by Oxygen's own defense.
Minute remains. Oxygen still so strong in this strategy. Able to hold things back, make things difficult. No ability to close up those rotations, so Dream's gonna have to stand on it. Stuns in, smokes out, still Mowgli's gonna cross. Not nearly as fatal as the last time. Nobody will be playing in Boiler as Oxygen have peeled this back just a tad bit. Newers will be discovered. What a shot from Mowgli as he'll transfer it over to Freezer. Knew the refrag was coming. Awkward angle here though, vertical. He's gonna get pre-fired, but he gets a nice kill. But it's gonna be Wolves all over the Oxygen setup this time around. Able to collapse in such a positive way, especially Mowgli with the huge entry kills there. Not only onto Newers, but onto Fox.
So map point now on the docket here as Wolves have reached that pivotal 6th round. All the pressure shifts over to OXG to try and stabilize things here as they need 2 in a row. And they will start with the replay over here on basement. Attack pause to be seen for them. Try and bring them back into this one.
There's one guy who watches fucking
Coach behind him trying to hype things up, keep the spirits high. As once more, this was the map that realistically Oxygen weren't expected to maintain control over. But now it doesn't necessarily seem like that is truly the case. The Wolves, having rebounded themselves, they lead this from the pole position, and after having that nice 4-2 start on the other half, they're going to continue to excel so far on the attacking side. Oxygen giving us very much the same flair we've had in previous rounds, however, just with a few slight change-ups to their lineup.
5 seconds to go. Attackers must locate and defuse a bomb.
Well, no hard breach here for Rise for a secondary utility. We'll have the Habana, obviously, for the Wolves, though. So, still have the ability to get these hatches open. Oxygen feeling as though the basement setup could work for them once again here. Dream will be the one on the Warden this time around, though. We're going to actually have Newers on the smoke, something we don't see all that often. He's going to be in a pretty forward position still, playing where he was previously. Now the FMG9 using the 1.5 on that. Quite the weapon at the end of the day. A lot of people really enjoying that gun, especially since he got worked in on this character here. Oh, some beautiful shots. Mowgli almost with another transfer, 13 and 10 on this game, but he gets away with a quick strike on Foxe.
Wolves continue to take things slowly here now that they've found the opening kill against Fox and are already primed for map-ending success. Need to find a way to get themselves into the basement here. Unfortunately, not going to be an easy task. Sweater ready to roll out, but a flash, probably at the worst possible time, connects directly into his face. Completely kills any of his aggressive momentum coming up that staircase there. Potentially may have just saved his life, though, as it looked like 2 members from the Wolves were here ready to establish Overwatch if he did go for that peak. So it might end up being much better that Oxygen keep their composure and keep those 4 players locked in the bunker to await the execute from the Wolves here. Speaking of which, they've got everything opened up now. As we're hearing the last of those few hatches get popped. So now it's just a matter of time and positioning for the Wolves here to trigger the descent.
Into the last minute we go.
A bomb has been located.
Foxe, the only death so far for Oxygen. This round has to be a success, otherwise Wolves pushes us onto Clubhouse. Once again, the waters get muddy. Stuns in. Execute to follow. Nice shot there from Sweater. Oxygen with the lead-off picks here, though. Nitro Cell out. Mowgli with a big stand-in freezer. Newers can't shut him down. A drop inside of E-Box. Some aggression out of Bibu. And they find the big kills. It's down to Dream. Had a huge 3K earlier in the game, earlier in this map. And he needs to get it again. Every target so low on HP. He just has to pick right. Big one there. P4 tries to spam him down through the wall. Nobody adopting the construction angle. Rotate back through. Up close and personal. He'll get another. He can get it done here. A quad for him. Oh, but he has the shotgun in hand, John. He switches weapons too late, and it gets around over to the Wolves.
Bibu with quite a bit of talk after that victory as well. The Wolves bounce back and trigger a map